Hi, good morning. My name is Lisa Dublin, and I've got a question for you today. How do you deal with a difficult boss? How do you deal with somebody who perhaps the only thing that is bad about your job is that boss? That if that person were not there, you would have the perfect setup, the perfect job, the perfect team, except that this boss is making it difficult. That's what we're going to talk about today. But before I do, I want to wish everybody in my country, St. Lucia, happy National Day. You know, I come from a very small island. It is only 238 square miles. It's the island of St. Lucia in the Caribbean. And I love to say that we're so small that we have imagination for borders. And what is that good for? Let me just tell you, I'm glad you asked. The fact that we have imagination for borders is so that we can see ourselves on every stage. So St. Lucia has the reputation, and it is the only country that has two Nobel laureates. So it has the highest Nobel laureate count per capita. Then we have the second highest Olympic medals per capita, because now with our 100-meter sprinter, Julian Alfred, we now have two medals, a gold and a silver, that she won at the Summer Olympics. So, you know, St. Lucia is blessed, I think, with the blessing is that of ratio. That where you see success, there are going to be more in that area. And even with our only 180,000 people on the island, some of them are not there, like me, right? With only 180,000 people, that we are able to achieve that much. We also have two Nobel laureates. How did I forget that? Or did I say that? We also have two Nobel laureates. So we have I did say that. So our two Nobel laureates are Sir Arthur Lewis, and 1979 for economics. And we also have Derek Walcott, who won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1992. You mustn't forget that. This is an amazing country. Go Google it if you're listening to me today and you're like, what is she talking about? What country is that? I've never heard of it. Go Google it, okay? The name is at the bottom, it's scrolling across. So go Google St. Lucia. It's a beautiful place. We always get lots of awards and so on, just for the beauty of the place. And it is really heavy on tourism. So if you're looking for your next holiday, head over to St. Lucia. It's beautiful. So I'm wearing only half of our national colors. The last time I was in national colors, I was representing St. Lucia as Miss Teen Talent back in, was it 92, Lord? 92 or 94. As a teenager, I represented my country at the Miss Caribbean Talented Teen Contest. And I was in full regalia, all of the national colors. But I only have two today, the yellow and the blue and the black. And of course, we also have the white and the blue. You can see it in the flag that's scrolling at the bottom. So welcome to Basement Chronicles. As I said, my name is Lisa Dublin. Wherever you're watching me from, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. Welcome to the show. Don't forget to also hit the subscribe button. If you are watching me on YouTube, then everything that gets uploaded, the podcast, the everything, you can actually go there if you subscribe to Basement Chronicles. Okay, you guys, I'm not going to be very long this morning because I've got a lot to do, a lot to get through. But we want to talk about difficult bosses. Why am I speaking about this? I think it's an offshoot of confidence, about how the people who you deal with on a daily basis can, yes, they can, to a certain extent, make or break your confidence. Is that not true? Have you ever been in a situation where, and are you hearing me okay, everybody? I hope you can hear me. Have you ever been in a situation where you have to open an email from a boss or a colleague and your heart starts to palpitate like really badly, like you are, oh my goodness, hi Rhonda, good morning to you, good morning. Your heart really starts to just beat so quickly, because so fast, because you don't know what to expect, because every email, every interaction, let's deal with the boss because that's the topic this morning. Every email, every interaction from this person is trouble for you. It's nitpicking. It's something that you have not done. It's another way to kind of take away your confidence in the job that you signed up for and that you loved in the first place. Has that ever happened to you? How do you deal? And you know what? Sometimes you can feel like that proverbial ram caught by the horns in the bush. You know why? You wanted this job. It's a cushy job. It has all of the perks that you wanted. It pays well. You know, when you were hired, perhaps even the board said to you, we are giving you that mandate to use your discretion to provide this kind of value for the company. And then on day one, you meet this boss who is nothing like what you met in the interview. That person begins to make your life a living hell. Has that ever happened to you, and how have you handled it? I coach a lot of professional women who, yes, they are the top of the game. They are articulate, capable, competent, accomplished, qualified. What else? They are good for business. And then they meet bosses who many times feel so intimidated by them. That's one reason. Or the boss has just been accustomed of being mean and being disrespectful, denigrating people, being dismissive. And then these women, these lovely women who have so much to offer the world, then are faced with the question, what do I do? I want this job. This opportunity is good for me. It's good for my family. It has helped me to achieve a certain lifestyle that I do not want to give up. I am not enterprising, and I'm not the person who's going to go out there and just start a business. No, I want to, this is what I went to school to study. This is the kind of work that I've known all my life. And now I've got to face a manager who is making it difficult for me. What then do I do? So you have a couple options. I think the way you have to first start is, do I want this job? No, do you want it? Do I want this job? And how good I am at this job? These are two questions I usually start with. Okay, if you want this job and you're willing to fight for it, then leaving is not an option. You know what else, unfortunately, might not be an option? That the manager leaves, because the manager too is like, you know what, I like this job, it's cushy, I'm in a position of authority, I'm not going to change and I'm not going to move. So here's the thing: if you are that person who has decided that even under a difficult boss, I'm not going to leave, I'm going to stick it out, then you absolutely need strategies for sticking it out, for managing yourself, your mind, and for managing the boss. Does that make sense? And that's where we start. A lot of the time I'm faced with people who feel caught, just simply caught in the headlights, like, what did I sign up for? How am I going to get out of this? How am I even going to get past the probation if it's already so difficult? How am I going to live every single day with such a mean defense, like totally disrespectful person? How am I going to do it? And so I thought this morning we would discuss a little bit about some of the strategies. And, if you are that person today who feels caught in the headlights, caught in that proverbial bush, like, what am I going to do? I want this job, but this boss is making every single day miserable. Let me tell you, if you learn to manage your mind and to manage your reactions and to manage your behavior, if you learn a couple things, you will be able to best the situation. Every storm does not last forever. Every conflict does not last forever. I love this phrase by Marie Forleo that says, everything is figure outable. Everything is figure outable. You need to figure out what makes that boss tick. You need to figure out how it is you can continue to do your job, be good for business with the company, okay? Make yourself indispensable and manage that situation with the boss. And here's another place that you start from. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. It's not always going to be combative. You continue to prove yourself. You continue, even in the face of a boss who's disdainful and critical, you continue to be independent and voluntarily go after your knowledge, your expertise in the field. You continue to grow You continue to learn that boss, not as a way of appeasing him or being a doormat. No. When I know who you are, I know exactly how to handle you. When I know what makes you tick, I know what to say and not say. I know how you guys remember how Kamala Harris really worked up Donald Trump in that interview. Well, of course, I'm not even sure if that is a very good example because we all know how that ended. But the fact is, she studied the guy, or she and her team studied him to know exactly what would make him tick. And if you pay your boss enough attention, then you can do the same. Let me tell you one piece of I give this piece of advice to my managers all the time. It often goes down like Buckley's. You guys know about Buckley's? Buckley's taste terrible, but it's good for you. Buckley's is that, I don't know, what is it? A remedy, a cold remedy, right? It tastes terrible, but it's good for you. And here's a piece of advice that I start. A lot of women, when they are faced with the disrespect, the disdain, with the dismissiveness of a boss, particularly, well, male and female, okay? They understand that perhaps one, the boss might be intimidated. Let's deal with that first. If that is your situation and you recognize, oh, my boss is intimidated by me, you probably feel a sense of superiority. I know that you see me. I know that you know I'm better than you. Look, I've got the qualifications and you don't. You just have experience, right? So you understand that they are coming from a place of weakness. But can I tell you, my friend, that they're still the boss? Sorry. And I always say this is the piece of Buckley's advice that I give. Find something to respect about the boss. If you can find nothing to respect about your boss, then find something to respect about the position that that person is in. If you have to, and you've decided, I'm fighting for this job, I'm going to get through the probation, I'm going to get through this difficult boss, we're going to get on the other side, but I'm not leaving because I like it, I'm going to find a way to make it work. If you have decided on that, then you get to work. You get a coach. Reach out to me. I coach lots of these kinds of women who are dealing with such situations. And unfortunately, you better find a way to deal with it. You know why? Because it's going to begin to affect your work. It's going to begin to affect the one thing that was always in your corner, your productivity, your expertise. It's going to begin to be affected, which is the plan in the first place. Sometimes your boss is just trying to manage you out. Sometimes your boss is just there to give you enough pressure so that one day you are going to just say, I quit. If you have a coach and you have a way of managing every single day with strategy, knowledge, and just downloading, taking care of your mind before you go into work, if you have that in your back pocket, you will be unflappable. They definitely will not be able to get to you. You know, he'll manage himself out because at some point that person is going to cross the line, and you will always have protocol, procedures, the rules and guidelines on your side. And so the first piece of advice is find something to respect about the person. Yes, the person's mean. Yes, that boss is ridiculously, I don't even know, obnoxious. Find that person, however, most times what I've found, like dealing with clients, when they come with these situations, many times the boss is not incompetent. So on top of that person being so mean and so negative, you also have to grudgingly admit that that person has some skills. That person is competent in the field. So hold on to that. Hold on to finding something to respect about that person. You're asking me why? I'll tell you in a little bit. But here's the thing. What if that boss who is managing you perhaps has got into that position because of nepotism, because of who that person knows, not anything to do because they marketed themselves well. But you up close and personal, you can see that this boss does not know what he or she is doing. So on top of him treating you badly, you also have to deal with the fact that you don't respect him as a professional. You don't, because you know he can't do the job. And unfortunately, from I coached a woman, a professional once, very high up, and she was facing exactly that with her boss, and we had to turn it around because she saw that he did nothing. He was just a talker. Oh my God. Pardon me. He was just a talker. He was just a person who came in. He didn't know what was going on. You know, he had this swagger around about him. He wanted people to kind of bow to him and obey him. And she was not having it. She was bright. She was accomplished. She was competent. And he wanted to manage her. So you know what she did? And that's why they were getting into trouble. She turned around and she was very disrespectful to him. Like, he'd say something, she'd be like, no, that's not exactly what happened. No, no, I'm sorry. No, but you said that. Oh, and you did that. And she would point it out in meetings. Let me tell you something. You cannot get anywhere with a boss who's already feeling small. You cannot get any traction by doing that. If you are in that position where the boss is already on your head, you have to have wisdom. That wisdom has to be grounded in something that is true. I make no, I'm very authentic. When I coach people in my speaking programs, in my coaching programs, even in my books as well, when you read them, they're behind me, right? Where am I? Okay, right here. These are two of them right here. Oh my goodness, right? You will see that level of authenticity. So I coach you not to play the game. At a certain level, yes, you have to. You won't be able to swallow everything, okay? But the truer that you find something to deeply respect is the more control and power you have. So find something to respect about this person. And if you can't find anything to respect about the person, respect the position. Because here's the thing, if you were in a similar position, you want your subordinates to respect your position. There might be people who are looking at you and thinking perhaps that you're not competent, but you would be saved and the relationship might improve if at least they can respect the position. If you can't find anything to respect about the person and you're not willing to at least respect the position, dear listener, find another job. But you already decided that you're going to fight for this one, right? Let me tell you something why it's very important that we are just authentic. It's very important that we that as much as possible you be true to yourself. You find something that works for you. Do you realize that a lot of people are clawing back on the EDI movement now? In Canada, we call it equity, diversity, and inclusivity. I know in the US, they say DEI, so diversity, equity, and inclusion. But in Canada, we say EDI, equity, diversity, and inclusivity. So it's basically the thinking is that the movement in some way has perhaps gone ahead of inclusion to look at the state of being included, which is inclusivity. I don't know that I agree. Let me tell you why. Because if it were something that were already part of the fabric of this society, we would not be clawing back on EDI movements, on EDI initiatives right now, and it's happening as a worldwide phenomenon. When George Floyd was killed on May 25th, 2020, the world woke up to a certain reality. We were in a bubble. We got to reckon with ourselves. In fact, I've got a poem about that. What will we do when we come out again? You can go to I have a poetry channel. I always forget to say that. I have a poetry channel as well on YouTube where all my poems are. So you can go there and see that poem. And I was talking about what will happen when we come out again, when we realize that we no longer need to, pander to each other and understand each other. Are we going to be hateful again? That's exactly what we are seeing right now. So the world shut down on May 25th in a way that made us reckon with ourselves. And out of that silencing of George Floyd's voice came a voice for EDI, for people of color, don't you think? Isn't it ironic that the symbolicness, oh no, the symbolism, sorry, the symbolism of putting a knee on that man's neck and taking away physically his voice resulted in a worldwide voice for the very thing that he was trying to kind of snuff out, a black man's life or black lives. But what happened was that the movement was a knee jerk reaction that did not reach deep enough to touch our hearts. That is why, for example, I'm getting ready. I have quite a couple gigs already for February, God willing. I speak a lot to the ERGs, the employee resource groups, the black groups right here in the city of Edmonton, sometimes government of Alberta, the schools as well, in private cooperation. So if you're interested, you can just go to my website, lisamdublin.com, and you can actually book me to speak from there. And what I found the last year in particular, 2020, when I was called to speak, it was virtual, of course. 2021, the same thing. From about 2022, and especially last year, here's what happened when I was called out to speak. And a lot of us speakers on the circuit have reported the same thing. All of a sudden, the people who were in charge of departments, often white, often not people of color, they wanted to know and to see what we would be talking about. They did not want to offend. The society began to pull back from EDI because there was no longer the urge to be seen as being politically correct. That tells you that the movement never touched hearts the way that it was supposed to. Because if it did, whether there was an extrinsic urgency or not, people would still be pursuing this because they recognized that us understanding each other and living in a state of tolerance, acceptance, very important, and equality, they would have recognized that this was the way to go. So because there was nothing that was authentic or deeply authentic, or it was not authentic all around, it was only on the side of the people who were experiencing racism and prejudice, of course we would want it to be better. But that EDI movement, I think it is a symbol that of what I'm speaking about. That if you are facing such a situation, don't just put a plastic smile and try to get along with this boss. You are going to have more authority in the situation if you deeply find something to respect, even about this obnoxious person. Because you know what happens? Anybody that you come at with disrespect is going to have their back up against a wall. They're going to see through you and they're going to react. And so even in situations, obviously, if you're being disrespected and there are clear guidelines and rules that have been flagrantly, what's the word I'm looking for? They've been flaunted, you have a right to speak up. But even in the speaking up, what I've found is already you are on the receiving end. When you feel powerless in a situation, when you know that the boss has wronged you and you know that you're better than this person, a lot of the women I coach, they in turn respond with disdain and scorn and a kind of, I know better than you. They in turn try to show the boss up. That's never gonna work. Can I ask you the question? And I always ask them the question. Sometimes I get a call after there has been a situation where this person, my client, has acted up, has shown the boss out, flew off the handle, said what they had to say. And then I will ask the question, so what did you expect to happen? Did you expect the boss to simply capitulate and be like, oh, I'm so sorry. I was wrong. Forgive me. Oh, you are the big one and I'm the small one. Okay. What was the aim? When you are already getting fire, you have to employ the art of war. Know the enemy. In that case, it's an enemy because you're fighting. I'm not saying that the boss you have to look at as antagonistic. Sometimes it's just that way. But know who you're dealing with and how you're dealing with them. What is the strategy here? How are we going to manage this boss? How are we going to employ skills and wisdom and the ability to only say what is required in the moment, to carefully choose your words, to be able to choose to have a certain result? Didn't you want this job? Don't you want to weather the storm? So why would you fly off your handle? Why would you stick it to the boss? What are you hoping to achieve? Peace? World peace? Work peace? It's not going to happen that way. You've got to be smart. And so, all of what I said before, maybe even going off on a tangent to show you how, if you're not authentic in how you deal with that boss, the likelihood that you're going to be able to weather the storm out and to be there when it all passes, that likelihood is less if you are not authentic. Find something to respect about that person. And if you can find something to respect, definitely put all the effort on simply respecting the superiority of the position. That, I think, is also a professional move to take. Here's something else, right? I coached a client once and she was going through that same situation. The boss was so chauvinistic. Oh my goodness, like sexist, obnoxious, wouldn't let her speak. She came to me because she lost her voice. And I'm speaking figuratively, not her physical voice. She came to me because this professional who had been at her job for years got this new manager who then proceeded to kind of be like a bull in a china shop with everybody, including her. And it affected her so much, in particular, because, she worked very closely with him. She lost that ability to speak up. She was intimidated. And we had to work to be able to find a way to advocate for herself, to be able to say what she needed, and to stand her ground and not create unnecessary conflict or attention for herself. In the end, she was able to find an avenue to solve that situation permanently. I won't say whatever, but she was able to come out on the winning side of that situation. That could be you. Now, here's the thing I want to end with. One way that you can deal with a difficult boss? Look at your expertise. If I were to ask you today, on a scale of 1 to 5, what is your level of competence and expertise in your job? Honestly, what would you respond? 3, 2? You have to take a good look at yourself and see whether there are areas in your job where you can improve. Because if you are seeing them, definitely this boss who's already looking to ferret you out, he is there sussing and sniffing and watching you, and he is seeing any source of incompetence. And that is not to say that you are heading for being perfect, because the boss himself or herself is not perfect. Believe you me. If you just take a closer look, you'll recognize that person too has holes in their whole persona. But that's not your job. Your job is to respect that person, find something to respect, okay? So that you have a handle from which and a basis from which to be able to deal with them professionally. If you don't find a way to respect them or respect the position, you, in your competence and brilliance and already being cornered and swiped at, you are going to retaliate, and you're going to do it with scorn and disdain and come across as, the word is supercilious. Supercilious things that I know I'm better than you. I see it all the time and in my clients. So I can be that objective person that's be like, hey, you are showing up like this. Your boss, if I can see it, your boss too can also see it. It's not going to get you anywhere. What is your purpose again? Don't you have a goal? Didn't we set goals at the beginning of the coaching? How does your reaction in such a situation, how does that further your goal of climbing the ladder in this company, of having a sterling reputation, of making your mark? Are you going to let one difficult boss derail you because you let that person get into your head and be there rent free? They're renting space in your head and they're not even paying rent. No, there's a way to handle such difficult bosses. So if that's you today, like, it's difficult to go to the job now because you feel like you're just basically caught like that ram in the bush with the horns in the bush. You're like, what am I doing? I want to get out, but this is my dream job. I love the perks, I love the flexibility, but this boss is making it difficult. Can I say to you today, there is another way? Let's get in touch and let's work on it. So I hope this was of value today for anybody who's listening. Again, happy National Day, St. Lucia. I've heard that St. Lucia is the only country that is named after a woman. I'm not sure what exactly that means. Like, what exactly does that mean? Don't come for me. I'm just simply asking a question. What does it mean to you that your country, St. Lucia, is the only country that was named after a woman? Just asking, please, asking for somebody. Okay. But happy National Day to my country that has produced so many great people. St. Lucia is a wonderful country. I always say that every single person should feel very proud about where they came from, because that is the only place that you are naturally not a stranger. Okay. That when you step foot there, there's nothing in the way. You don't need a passport. That's where you were born. That's the only place that you are naturally not a stranger. You are naturally not a stranger, and it is supposed to count for something. So have a wonderful day, everybody. And don't forget that there is a way to handle a difficult boss. Everything is figure outable. Bye, and see you on Wednesday next week, because I come on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for Basement Chronicles Live. Bye. Take care. Reach out if you need help. My email is Lisa M. Dublin. Yeah, you are the Helen of the West. Yes. It means yes. I guess that's what it means, right? I guess we call her the Helen of the West. She's the only country that is named after a woman. I'm not sure what that means, really. Okay. All right, you guys. Take care and see you on Wednesday. Bye.